So I said, let's put her down here. It doesn't matter, even if it is Pakistan, at least you'll not have to use your parachute. I started turning around to the right to sort of this thing. And I told the controller, I've just crossed the runway and I'm turning right to land on it. So to identify me, he says, waggle wings. So I waggled my wings. He says, you're over Pathankot.
Didn't know that.
Accidentally, the track which I had drawn imaginarily had taken me back onto the airport.
Okay.
So when I turned around to land, he says, at least put your wheels down before you land. I was so excited to see the runway. I said, thank you very much, 3 greens now, and landed. And soon after landing, the engine flamed out. And they pushed me off the runway onto the taxi track because there were people already on the ground. And what I see is Chani Dhillon next to his aircraft standing there. I said, Chani, what happened? He says, I pulled up to eject and I saw this runway here. So I punched out all the drop tanks to clear my aircraft.
Okay.
I force landed the damn thing here. I said, okay, that was this flight lieutenant Dylan's journey. And both of us were towed into the blast pens by the tractors who were waiting. And that's the first mission ended. Everyone who took off that morning was short of fuel. Oh. And I remember 4 aircraft we gave to 20 Squadron from our squadron because their aeroplanes are still coming in. Out of the 4, Parker and his number 2, like I was telling, Parker had managed to land and he just about managed to probably reach his blast pen. His number 2, I said, flamed out and force landed. I flamed out. The engine stopped after landing, fortunately. And then the other 2 aircraft were with Bharadwaj and Murli.
Okay.
Murli got left behind at the target. He was fighting, in spite of being told, I believe, that there is no combat fuel. He engaged himself into a fight, I believe. And he was seen engaging into the combat over the target. In number 2, our leader, not number 2, the leader managed only as far as Jammu.
Okay.
And Jammu runway was blocked with drums. But he landed because it was early morning. He landed, took the drums away with him. And because the runway was small also, he went over the fencing and reached the Tavi River. And the guards, VrC guards chasing him with the rifles thinking that he's a Pakistani.
Okay.
So he was standing next to the tail where we had the Indian flag on the aircraft and telling them, I'm not a Pakistani, I'm an Indian. So he managed to reach up to there. So that was, I thought, this thing, totally stretched out missions. And how it happened, of course, later on, you say when you look back, you try and see how we ran out of fuel. I believe, I don't know whether this is a fact or not, Bala will probably be able to, enlighten us a little bit more. The rocket rails, which were under the wings, I believe consumed at least 1 extra pound of fuel per nautical mile.
Okay.
And this target was almost 200 miles away and 200 miles back. So the 400 pounds of fuel which was reserved got eaten away by the rocket rails.
Okay. Okay.
That's why, and everyone had rocket rails, including Parker. They were all only with guns, but the rocket rails were there on all aircraft because removing rocket rails is not an easy and quick process.
Okay.
So that probably caused all the hassles on fuel that we experienced. But it was, and then the CO obviously came as soon as they parked me in the blast pen. And the first thing I remember asking him, have I passed? So he fired me up and said, you idiot, I thought you had gone down somewhere and this and that. I'm waiting for you and all. Anyway, I was quite happy that I was declared a 2-aircraft leader, must have been the only one who did his check on the first sortie of the war.
So first mission was successful in spite of so many odds.
Well,
grace of God.
Everything falls in place when everything is aligned, and things sometimes when you sort of plan also very well, things just don't fall in line. And then, of course, when you're back again, we joke around with all our friends. I remember we used to meet at dinner in the mess, and then they used to sort of send us out to various guest houses for the night because they were fearing, these Pakistani commandos attacking to sort of harm us. So they used to park us at various places in town, in guest houses and all that, and keep changing our locations. But we were quite demoralized when we heard how many people we had lost that day, or those who got left behind.
Okay.
The only person who was captured and declared as a prisoner of war was my friend Chati. Flight Lieutenant Chati.
Okay.
He came back. He got repatriated after the exchange of prisoners.
Yeah, our Air Commodore Kuruvilla Saab told about him, and even Bhargava sir also were telling about that the POW spot when he was.
Yeah, he was obviously his experience was terrible. Whenever we used to sort of talk about it, as a friend, we were at least fortunate enough to be in an air-conditioned cockpit. I can visualize your torture in the jail.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And that's how like I said, the first mission ended. And this thing, I believe, came out in the local papers, and the commanding officer was showing me this clip where they obviously had mentioned his name because he was the leader on this thing, on the dock. I was number 2. So there was no mention of Gahlawat anywhere in that paper. So I read it anyway. I said, at least we came back safely, and I did my 2-aircraft lead check.
It was mentioned in your citation, sir, in paper Vir Chakra, that you struck and destroyed one bridge, enemy bridge. So it was a successful mission.
This mission was not mentioned anywhere in the citation. This first mission,
okay.
This was not mentioned in the citation, obviously, because the commanding officer couldn't have told them that he was the leader. And I think they originate, I don't know who originates the citation. The commanding officer must be originating the citation. I'm not very sure how the process took place, but I was very pleasantly surprised when they said, you got a VrC.
Okay.
And that's how this mission ended. And then another time, which was also a little...
So we have another mission on 7, sir, as per the citation.
Uh-huh.
So where you destroyed a number of enemy tanks while on a close air support mission.
This must have been in the Chhamb area where we were being called for army support.
Sir.
So this must have been in that area. And I still remember on one of the days we were called by the army as a mission for air defense, and in the sense for not air defense, picking out a target. And this was near Punch somewhere, and our FAC, the forward air controller, was a person from our squadron, the pilot officer at that time. He was attached to the brigade or whatever formation that was in Punch. And his request was obviously complied with. But most of the requests that the army used to make, the Air Force didn't have enough support to give them. So he thought, after requesting for it, he thought nobody will come. So he was not available on the radio. So we carried on trying to raise him on the radio with everything possible, including bad words. But he didn't come up on the radio.
Okay, sir.
And then I remember my leader was Flight Lieutenant Jonas. We used to call him Don Jonas. So we decided that we'll go across the border and pick out a target there, close on the other side. And we came across a hanging bridge, the bridge which was made in such a way that there's just one and you got those sort of ropes or maybe metal sort of, metal ropes which are holding it together across a narrow river in a valley. And only one person could go at a time. So Don decided that he will attack first and I guide him from the top. So I was on top looking at him and he picked out the bridge, but his rockets fell short. I could see. But then when he pulled out, he said, okay, your turn. And I sort of, now I said, we've been roaming around here so long. Let's try and sort of get this bridge. So I was so carried away that I probably fired a little too late. Wanted to get as close as possible. And I remember when the bridge fell, the debris that, the mushroom that took place, I almost flew through it.
I see, okay.
And my leader was screaming at me, you idiot, pull up, pull up, pull up. So we came up and then said, yeah, the damn bridge has gone down. And we came back satisfied that, yes, we at least sort of managed to get something, even though we couldn't raise the forward air controller on the radio. We came back, the procedure was to go to the ops room, fill up your report, and then come back to your squadron crew room. So we got back, after filling up this report, we got back to our crew room. And we didn't want to highlight all this because we were not very sure at that time what sort of this thing, we didn't think the importance of that bridge. Suddenly we get a call from the base commander, who was at that time Air Commodore Kathua, who had taken over on the second day of the war because we had lost a lot of people in the first 2 days. He wanted to see these two idiots who had gone for this mission. So we went there and now we were talking to each other and saying, listen, I think we went and brought down some bridge of our own. Because out there's no red line telling you which side is the border. it's all your judgment. And then we told them, so we're sorry, we thought we were across the border. And because we were patrolling this side, we could see Punch all right. And then we went for so many minutes and we were sure that we are now on the other side of the border and we took on this target. So he used to carry on pulling everybody's legs as it is. His way of mannerism was like that. So after pulling our legs for about almost 5 minutes, we took out that signal from the commander there. And he said, read this. And there it was written, please thank these two pilots for having brought down this only communication line of Pakistanis to the Punch area. We were trying to get it artillery for quite a few days.
What a pleasant surprise.
It was a very pleasant surprise. And then obviously, he tells us, he said, don't tell anybody that you did it accidentally. So yeah, he thought we were in Pakistan, but we weren't very sure. Like all of us at that age aren't sure of, the whole thing 100%. But yes, whatever little training we had, we could make out that, yes, this was on the other side of the border. And then, of course, this was one of the missions. And then when was this? Yeah. We were coming back from a mission and we were about maybe 30, 40 miles from Pathankot in Pakistan. I was number 2 along with my flight commander. He was, I think, I forget his name now. He was the leader and we accidentally flew through a formation of Mirages at low level.
How many, sir? How many Mirages?
I think there were 5 or 6. I'm not very sure.
6. Yeah.
But we went and flew sort of under them because we were obviously sort of flying as low as possible, and the Mirages maybe having some meters inside the cockpit to tell them how high are they from the ground. We had nothing except our eyes, and we used to come as low as we could. So,
One second, sir. One second. Some disturbance is coming. Varunanji, please switch off your mic. Varunan. Sergeant Varunan, sir. Please go on mute.
Now, the moment we sort of, went to...
Yeah, please go on, sir.
Yeah, the moment we sort of, found that we had gone through something, we didn't know what, I instinctively turned. And in the turn, I was almost 1,000, because we were in the abreast formation when we were coming back so that we could see each other's tail. And the turn was to the left, so I fell almost 1,000 yards behind my leader, when the turn started. And
how many aircraft were in the formation, sir? How many in the formation?
Just two of us, and those guys, like I said, maybe what, 4 or 6.
They are 6, sir. Our Indian, ours are 2.
Just 2. So now, the moment I got about 1,000 yards from him, he knew that we were sort of, being bounced by Mirages. And our bingo lights, low-level fuel lights, which tell you that it's time to go home, they were on already because we were coming back from after a mission. So the moment I saw that I was 1,000 yards behind him, I told him, I said, your tail is clear. You can set course to Pathankot and there is nobody behind you. So I was also about to roll out to follow him, when I saw in my back view mirror, 2 guys were right there, almost at point blank range, right behind me.
Okay.
So now I couldn't take off the turn, because if I take off the turn, they will shoot me.
Okay.
So the only
target
against these people when you're, engaging in a combat is a harder turn than what that guy is doing. So I remember turning as hard as I could. And in this whole tamasha, trying to extricate myself, I got behind one of those Mirages and I fired. But there were no bullets left, because when I fired, nothing came out of the bullets.
Okay.
It was all, I had finished all my ammo probably at the target itself. And there was no indication in the cockpit to tell me that there were no more bullets left. Anyway, so I heard my leader screaming at Pathankot saying my number 2 has been attacked by these MiGs. There were MiGs patrolling on top of Pathankot at that time. But the whole thing happened in such this thing. Those guys were obviously trying to, everybody sees his own tail before he tries to see somebody else's tail clear. So nobody came, but we managed to somehow or the other hit the ground again as low as possible. And those guys thought that they are also in danger, because the radios, whatever was being talked about, they must have heard of something of it. I'm not very sure which channel they were in. But I was able to come back and land safely. And the flight commander, his name is called Jane.
Okay.
Jane. He was so furious with me. He said, "You idiot, you are trying to sacrifice yourself for my life." I said, "No, there was nothing of that sort. I was wanting to follow you, but these guys were too close."
Okay.
I couldn't follow you because if I would have tried to follow you, they would have shot me.
Okay.
So that's why I got into the combat.
Okay.
And I had no way to get out from there till the time, I was sure that my tail is clear. The moment I found there was nobody there, I turned around and here I am. I said, no, this, that, all sorts of bad names. But he said, "Thank you for saving my life." And then he said, "I'll repay you when we go for the next mission. You be my leader, I'll be your number 2. I said, "No, sir, I'm very happy being number 2. You be the leader."
That time, as per the citation, sir, I think 6 aircraft.
They fired all their missiles because
12 missiles were fired at you.
The missiles could be seen because those tracers were visible. Yes. They all went over our cockpits and everything, but thank God they didn't hit us.
Also fortunate.
And they people who came from the command and all that to ask us, how did you dodge those missiles and all? I told them, I said, listen, we had nothing to dodge the missiles. Maybe we were too low, and maybe because we were heading towards the sun. And the missiles got misled by the heat from the sun or from the ground. I said I was turning. Yes, I was turning very, very hard, and these missiles came in at that time. So I don't know what actually sort of prevented them from hitting us.
So 6 Mirages, 12 missiles, 8 hit-to-air missiles, but you survived. That is the greatness.
Well, one of the, like I said, we were fortunate. That's it. Like I was telling the other day, I said lots of people did a lot of sort of damage during the war, but a few of us probably sort of got recognized. The others went unrecognized.
Being a young pilot and acting, so matured and effective.
I don't know whether this is maturity or immaturity, but somehow the other we survived.
Whatever by your hunches or intuition, whatever it is, but you pull back and you ensured safe landing back to the base. That is the point. And giving us a kind of cover and support to your leader also. That was the citation.
That we were very well trained for, because I was always a number 2 or number 4 in every formation during training. Sir. So what we were supposed to do as number 2 or number 4 was very clear to us, that it was our job is to stick to search the area, and report to the leader as to what's happening around, so that he can take the decision. Yes. And he then sorts out the situation and resolves it. But when you are made the leader suddenly, then you don't know what are your duties, except the navigation obviously was the most difficult part without any aids. At that time there were no instruments to tell us where we are. Everybody's got a smartphone which tells you where you are even while walking.
No proper guidance system for those days, sir. Everything was going on manual.
Nothing at all. And we were flying as low as we were flying, only because we were not being picked up by the radar. That's it.
Okay. So we may take 2 minutes break, sir, if you require.
Sure. You can carry on. Anybody who has any questions.
Yeah. So now I think we have our Gahlawat sir has covered 3 incidents of bravery. Now one more interesting event is there. Before he tells us that.
Let me tell you about how I almost shot down Bala. He's here still.
Very much here. I have to get even with you for that. Okay.
You can help him, sir. You can say something.
He and his commanding officer were returning from a mission.
Okay.
We were combat air patrol somewhere in the Chhamb area. I'm not very sure exactly where it was. And the forward air controller, he told us that there are 2 sabers sighted in the area. Sir. It was very hazy because it's early morning. And in winters, you have this haze on mountains which carries on for a long time. And suddenly these 2 aeroplanes appeared in front of us. So the nose of the hunter, it is black. Hello, can you hear me? I can see.
Yeah, I can hear, sir. I can hear.
Okay. Yeah, because Baliga was being painted on the screen, so I was wondering.
One second, I'll show him also one second. Yeah, so you can see him now.
So the nose of the hunter is black because the radar is supposed to be in the nose. That they painted it black. So from the distance that we were looking at them, that looked like a cut nose, not a round nose, because it is black. And the saber has a cut nose. It's distinctly cut. And when that guy is telling us that there are sabers in the area, we were only seeing sabers, nothing else. So we picked up these 2 aeroplanes. And I remember telling my leader, at that time it was squad leader Sharma, who was the leader. I said, I've got these people in sight, these two sabers, and I'm going in. So he said, go ahead, I'll follow you because I can't see them. And in this turn, the first thing that you do before engaging combat is to clear your drop tanks because those things are a big hindrance to maneuverability of the aircraft and there was no fuel left in any case.
Okay.
So I remember having punched that clear aircraft bar to clear them. And I went in and I was telling, oh, my hunter is sort of behaving so nicely without tanks and all that. And now I was quite close enough to sort of get him to shoot. But because we had taken off early morning, the gun sight was on the dimmest position because that can't be too bright in your face.
Okay.
And now I was heading towards the east, behind them. And east sun was already there trying to rise. So that gun sight was not visible. So I put my hand inside to increase the intensity. Bottle was still full because I was now so excited that I've got the saber in my thing. And I almost was point blank range. You know, the aircraft, I've never seen a hunter so big, except in a formation. When that is the time I recognized it's a hunter. And I pulled off. Thank God. And all along, Bala was talking to his leader on his channel, whatever channel they were on, saying they're coming in, and his leader is telling, don't worry, these people were bored, they're going round and round doing combat air patrol, so they're having a little fun. He didn't know that the fun was about to result in actually, I could have actually wingtipped him, I was so close to him.
No, did he know that you are the person? Did the Balas know, sir, about you?
After he landed, obviously, he knew who it was. And I remember his wife telling me, see, because you didn't shoot him, I have to suffer my whole life with him.
So thank God at the last minute, you know, by like some divine intervention, you were able to make out.
But that was the closest shave. And I felt so this thing. I said, my God, I almost got our mind.
May I interrupt? That was the only time I saw Gahlawat so serious. He looked at me and he said, Bala, I'm so sorry. Sorry about what? I didn't know that he was the one who was flying. I knew there was an aircraft behind me. But his face was bad. I could make out something seriously had gone wrong. And he felt terrible about it.
I think the kind of divine intervention saved you sir, at that point of time.
It was divine intervention. Had that gun sight been on bright, probably I would have fired.
So, anything, sir? Bala, sir, if you want to share on this, let us give him 2 minutes break, sir.
Yeah, sure.
Bala, sir.
Bala, I'm thrilled to see him after such a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are flying from 20 Squadron, a sister squadron in Pathankot. And like Gal said, our aircraft were dispersed because we were expecting a water attack in Pathankot any time, and we were at Hindon. On third evening, Pakistan attacked, and third night, we decided to fly our planes back. We about 13, 14 aircraft. And we planned a startup at about 3 in the morning because we wanted the aircraft for the first attack in the morning.
What do you think?
I remember it was a dark night. The navigation was hard because the Hunter does not have any navigation equipment.
Yes, sir.
It was all blackout all over North India. Because the biggest threat was Bhakra Nangal Tam was called a GFA-1, that is gun-free area at class 1. They will fire at anything.
Okay.
We had to skirt everything and come to Pathankot. So we had this beautiful formation of 12 aircraft with nav lights on coming over Pathankot airport. Like a Diwali.
Okay.
And lo, what happened? Our anti-aircraft opened up on us. Not realizing that we are Indian Air Force aircraft, they thought Pakistani aircraft.
Okay.
And they had. None of us had seen tracers before. There were red tracers all over the sky.
Okay.
For 30 seconds, it's beautiful. Then we realized, my God, they're firing at us. And these 12, 13 aircraft, they peeled off in all directions, up, left, right. And then, anyway, safely not a single aircraft was hit. We had our first taste of war in Pathankot itself.
Right. So did they
And
not
we
know
landed.
about your arrival, sir? Didn't they know?
Sorry?
Did they not know about your arrival to the place?
See, those days communication was not good. The systems are bad. You can't put a blame on anybody. Things must have gone wrong somewhere. Once we peeled off and went away, then the guns were brought down. I landed safely.
Okay.
Over to you, girls.
Second one. First one. This one, second one, our Gahlawat.
RD silence was what almost caused the sort of accent with Murli. I was on the runway at the same time as he was landing. I didn't know he was landing because there was no radio.
Two miraculous escapes in that case for our Bala sir.
Almost everyone will talk about a miraculous escape during the war. Everyone had some escape or the other to talk about. And like I said, we were all so busy with our own sort of tales. We hardly knew who's lost and who's not lost till the time we got together in the bus, the aircrew van while going back to the mess or wherever they were taking us for the night. That's the time we used to come to know. So-and-so is not here, so-and-so is not here. So it used to be a bad feeling that you lost so many of your colleagues. And our squadron happened to suffer the maximum loss, at least on this side of the war, the western sector. I don't know how it was in the east. But this side, we sort of lost a lot of aeroplanes. To hell with them, because you can buy aeroplanes, but you can't get back the people whom you... The only person who returned was Chati. Others, some of them are still missing in action.
Yes, sir.
Like Jane.
Kuruvilla, sir, he was also there.
Yeah, he was also there. Lofty, Karambaya, Kuruvilla.
Yes, about 12 of them.
Karambaya was with us. Kuruvilla was not with us. He was...
Karambaya was not a POW. Not Karambaya.
Not Karambaya. Karambaya was with us, otherwise in the 20 squadron.
Like the Grey Wall and those people were there.
Yeah.
So and anything about action apart from these incidents?
I think that's sort of sufficient for you and for the day.
Now, what was the most exciting moment, sir, during this operations time for you, being a fighter pilot?
To sort of be alive at the end of the war.
Great. No, despite being a youngest pilot with less experience.
We were probably sort of, made to believe a little differently about the seniors, or we felt differently, but we had definitely seniors who definitely did not, at least now I can look back and say that they did not lead us well.
Oh. Okay.
Probably that's the reason why we lost so many. Maybe that's my sort of, analysis. The analysis could be different. There are people who are only in charge of doing these things. They must have done the analysis.
So, that apart from this action part of it in the war, so as per your profile, you are seen working as a fighter pilot instructor for more than, I think, 12 years, working in Air Force Academy, then Bidar and Tambaram, all these places.
After the war, I did not do a hard turn in the Hunter, except maybe for a few months in the Operational Conversion Unit in Kalaikunda when I was posted there after my Iraq tenure.
Sir.
From the squadron, after the war in 72 end or 73 Jan, we were posted out to the FIS to the instructor's course. From Jan to June, we did the instructor's course at Tambaram, Tamil Nadu. Then I got posted to Bidar, the basic training where we didn't know how to teach and the cadets didn't know what flying was all about. But we learned from each other. And after 1 year, I was posted to Air Force Academy to teach on the aeroplanes there. There they had I was posted actually to the Kiran aircraft, but then because I had a propeller engine experience in Bidar, which was the HT2, the CI in Air Force Academy was late Air Marshal Disa. He used to be a group captain as chief instructor. He told me, he says, you help us out on the Harvard in the mornings, and you can go and fly your Kiran in the afternoon.
Sure.
The flying I liked, so I used to do that, flying with the Howards in the morning and the Kirans in the afternoon. And by about May next year, I managed to do my upgradation of the instructors category to A2. And before I knew anything, I was back to Tambram as an instructor.
Yes, sir.
So I spent about 2 years and 9 months out there before I caught the bus to go to Iraq. They used to send people with A2 instructors category on deputation to Iraq. Yes, Bala was in the same team as me when we spent 2 good years together in Tikrit in Baghdad, just north of Baghdad.
Okay.
After those 2 years in Iraq, I was posted to OCU in Kalaikunda.
Sir.
After spending maybe about a year or so, they posted me back to Tambram as an instructor. So I had another tenure of maybe a year and a half before they posted me to the Aircrew Examining Board at Hindon. And then after spending almost 4 years, that was the longest time I ever been on the station, I was posted to Kalaikunda to command some unit, a hunter unit there. And that's when I got an opportunity to go on deputation to the government of Haryana. And that's where I got my civil license, because they had an aeroplane which was civil registered, so we had to have a license to fly it. So I did my license on that aircraft and then went on deputation.
How long were you there, sir, in Haryana on deputation as an executive pilot?
2 years. 2 years of deputation is what the Air Force used to send us.
Yes, sir.
And after finishing that deputation, I was posted to Air Force Academy as chief flying instructor.
Yes, sir.
And then in '89 December, I left prematurely from Air Force Academy.
After serving for 22 years.
Yeah, almost 22. They didn't allow me to complete 22. On the 15th of December, they released me. And I would have completed 22 full on the 31st.
Okay.
So from there, I joined a company in Delhi because I had a commercial license.
Okay. Okay.
There was one, they were starting with air taxis. So there was one company which was running a executive jet, the Thapa group of companies. They opened up a company called India International Airways. And I flew the Hawker, the Hawker 125, for about 2.5 years.
Sir.
Now that Hawker, they used to carry on earning money on it, but they never spent any money on looking after it. So when it came due for major repairs, one day it never came out of the hangar because there were too many things wrong. So at that time, the chairman of UB Group, Mr. Malia, he had chartered our aircraft once or twice. So he asked his representative to find out if I was interested in joining their company.
Okay.
But base was in Bangalore. So I told my wife, I said, listen, they want me, offering me this job. So she said, nothing doing. I'm not going from Noida. Noida in Jalwayu Vihar is where we had our apartment. Okay. And we were nicely settled in there.
Okay.
But after almost about 6 months, we said, okay. So I moved into Bangalore in 1993 in September.
Okay.
Joined the UB group. They had a Hawker and they also had a Gulfstream. And later on, they added a Boeing 727 to their executive fleet. So I used to fly the 3. And they also had a King Air, which I had flown with the Haryana government. So I used to fly these aeroplanes with them. And I got an opportunity to travel almost all around the world.
Oh, great, sir.
And like they say, when did you retire? I didn't retire, my boss retired.
I think you need to have a license for, sir, international flights.
Yeah, no, you can fly on Indian license for like all the Air India people have an Indian license.
Okay. Yeah.
But to fly the other aircraft, like the Gulfstream was registered in US and the Boeing was registered in US. So we went and did a US license.
Okay.
The FAA license, they call it. So we went and converted our based on the Indian license, they took a test and had a similar composite paper and all that we had to pass through. And we were maintaining both the license thereafter because every license had to be renewed on an annual basis. But we had the licenses all okay till the time, the boss ran out of money.
Sir, that's, I think you, as you mentioned, you were flying for 48 years. So
Yeah.
to be a pilot means to maintain utmost health conditions. So how did you maintain your health, sir, throughout for 48 years of flying?
The Air Force was responsible for that, because they showed us the way as to how to keep yourself healthy. Like look at Bala, he still hasn't put on even an ounce from the time he was a cadet. So
I think our Air Marshal Masan sir also has come on the line, sir. Welcome, sir. Good morning and welcome, sir.
Hi, Harish.
Harish Masan, sir.
I know.
Yeah, he's on the call. Welcome, sir. So, yeah, yes, sir. Go on, sir. So, where are you, sir, now? How are you now how are you settled?
I'm here in Bangalore. I live with my elder son, who's a pilot with Air India Express now. He also did 20 years with Jet Airways. And when Jet Airways collapsed, he left and joined Air India Express.
Okay.
So he's now working with Air India Express. And his younger brother is in Dubai flying with Emirates.
All are pilots.
Well, like they used to say to my wife, that these people, they all take me for a ride.
So great, sir. So successful father and happy father and successful son.
Well, I'm quite contented, when I look back at where we started from and where we've reached, and I keep telling the same thing. I say, you guys don't carry on increasing the size of your house or the size of your car. Look for happiness.
Okay, good. So look for happiness. That is good. So what are your great learnings from our Air Force, sir? Air Force life?
Well, like I said, you've got to be focused. You can't, everybody can't get there and claim to be a success. Because like I said, you have to have the aptitude. Unlike the civil, where anybody who joins civil flying will eventually get a license. In the Air Force, it was not so. All of us who joined as cadets, all of us didn't succeed. We lost a lot of our course mates, got suspended on the way. The attrition rate was quite high. Because, it's better not to get killed than to suspend somebody. At least you're living in another thing. It's like somebody who...
Yes, sir, that is there.
Yeah, somebody who...
Only a service where we sacrifice our lives also. Even President and Prime Minister don't do that. But we, the soldiers, do that. Go to any extent. That is the greatness of our soldiering.
Yeah, like these days, the choice of sort of youngsters is the problem with them is that they've got too many things to do and they can't make up their mind what they need to do.
Yes, sir.
When you send them to a career counselor, like I had done that with my younger son, because I didn't want him to be, in the Air Force or into the cockpit, because I had known that, you can't put all your eggs in one basket. So he had managed to get himself a scholarship from the Singapore Airlines, SIA scholarship after his 10th standard and again after 12th standard.
Okay, sir.
So he joined a university in Singapore at their cost, National University of Singapore.
Okay.
He did his 4 years of graduation there in computers. And thereafter he was taken on a campus hiring by the IBM. The day he was to join them, he gives me a call. He said, Dad, I'm not joining IBM. I said, I didn't study this far. Tell me where you're going.
Okay.
He said, I'm joining Singapore Airlines. I said, hang on. Singapore Airlines has a lot of, their procedure for entry is almost about 4 weeks long. Every week they have a session of trying to, different things to selection, there's group discussion, there's that and all that. So he said, yeah, yesterday was my medical and now I need your signature being the guardian.
Okay.
So then he joined the Singapore Airlines as a cadet pilot. They did his training. And because Singapore doesn't have any space to fly, they have a flying college in Perth, in Australia.
Yes.
So that's where he did his initial license. And then he sort of, got onto the airline that they were aircraft that they were flying. He's flying the Boeing 777 since then. That time as a first officer, now as a captain after having served Singapore Airlines for quite a few years, he decided to go across to Emirates when they offered him a job because they were offering a big house, fully furnished, free of cost. Whereas in Singapore, he says, I'm paying 1/3 my salary for the apartment that you people have not visited even more than once.
Okay.
So he joined Emirates and he's there in Dubai since then.
Okay.
So
now we have a lot of air warriors on the call, sir. So out of your successful career in Air Force and civil side, what advice would you like to give to our air warriors, sir?
Well, I don't think you have a better service to look at. At least I was quite sort of, happy while I served the Air Force. You might get more money outside, but the quality of life is not comparable. Because you can't pay peanuts to people who are doing this job. But at the same time, the quality of life is different in the Air Force as compared to the.
So then what are the success mantra? What can you call that your success mantra in your life, sir?
I never advise my children also. How can I advise anybody else? I give them all the inputs that they need. Like I told you, you ask me a question, I'll try and answer.
Sure.
But what I think is a success to the other person, it might not look so.
Okay.
You give all the information that you want and let the youngster make up their mind. You have people who can assess as to where he'll fit in. Okay. Like I said, the choice today is his trying to make up his mind because you cannot do everything in life. You have to narrow down your choice to the one job that you need to sort of get into and make a success.
Now, that unique thing is that you have two of your batchmates on the call, sir, like Wing Commander Kathua, sir, and Air Marshal Harish Masan, sir, also on the call. So, what are the happiest occasions you shared with them or you want to cherish now, sir?
To tell you frankly, Bala served with me in Pathankot, so he was the closest, even though Kathua and Harish are my postmates.
Sir.
We had been because posted at different places.
Okay.
And your friendship develops more when you're posted in the same squadron or the same station.
So we are very glad to know that all the three of you got Vir Chakra, sir. That's the unique thing.
Well, we were fortunate, like I said, to be recognized. At least I feel so. Though Harish shot down a saber, we were not in the air-to-air role. We were most of the time going and hitting those guys, on those bases which are close to Afghanistan.
Yeah, we had his call last week, sir. Wonderful narration of his events and of the life lessons. So fortunate to have him in the call last time. So now also he's on the call. So now I think I have anything would like to share, sir, out of your service to all our air warriors before we take up that question and answer session.
I had a lovely time while I was in the service and you all the very best. And you guys are doing a good job trying to bring up these youngsters, educating them and motivating them in this direction. I don't think there is a more noble profession than this in the country today.
Yes, sir. Definitely. Yes, sir. Definitely. So, thank you, sir. And so thank you for
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
Just one word. Yeah.
Please, sir. Please, sir.
Sorry for taking your time.
Yeah. No, sir. My time is over. Okay.
I had the privilege of knowing Jai Gahlawat for over 50 years.
Oh, great.
Been a real privilege. As a young flying officer in the squadron, in 20 squadron during the war days, he was a lot more than a flying officer. The way he conducted, what he did, I'll not be wrong to say that he was a spy. He was one of the pillars of the squadron. And whatever the squadron achieved during the war, he has a major contribution towards that.
Yes, sir. I think there are 4 incidents.
Amazing person. He may not be a very humble person. He doesn't talk very much about himself and what his achievements and capabilities are. He is 6 months my junior. Out of respect, he does not sit when I'm around, but I will salute. Jack?
Allah, thanks a lot for those good words.
So, we have 2 more, sir. Wing Commander Kathua, sir, would like to share. And Air Marshal Masan, sir, is also on the call. We request both of you to share, sir, before others can ask question and answers.
I can't see Harish and Kathua.
Yeah, I will show you, sir. I will show you. We'll go for GAL review.
That is Vishwanath Baliga, which is only the name coming.
Yes.
On the center of the screen.
He was on the call, sir. I think now.
No, because they all, like I told you, the people who are in the Air Force, most of us have already heard what the others have done.
Okay.
And as time progresses, there are a lot of guys who would probably like to project what they did. But we were there, trained for a job, and we did it to the best of our ability and saved our tail.
Sir, Kathua, sir, would you like to share anything on this occasion? To it forms part of a record for future generations also.
Now I can see him.
Can you see me?
He's looking older than me, in spite of being my age, my course mate.
Couple of numbers junior to you.
Yeah, a couple of numbers junior. Yeah, that junior, senior is okay. We didn't study hard enough.
Absolutely. I must say,
I got influenced by Harish Pascal.
Yeah. Sir, Kathua, sir, come to the middle of the phone. Come to the middle. Your no, image is not clear.
He wants to show only a portion of himself. Now I can see his full face.
I'm not all that.
Yeah, now it's all right, sir. Now it's all right. Yes. Yes, sir. Go on, sir.
No, nothing. Whatever has been brought out by Jai Singh, in fact, whenever we met, like he said, we were never in the same unit, but we used to meet when he was flying for Government of Haryana. And,
sir, once your voice is not clear, sir. Be in the middle, sir. Come to the middle, sir. Be in the middle.
Okay.
No, somewhat right side, sir.
Just push your computer or whatever you got a little further away from you.
I think I better use my telephone.
No. You are sitting too close to it. Now I think, yeah, that's the way. Yeah, I'm technologically as idiotic as you are.
Yeah, now it's fine. Fantastic. Now good.
In fact, Jai Singh, I must tell you.
Now he has no hair and no turban.
I know a lot of things about Bala because when I was in 20 squad, Bala was there for a little while. But we never had, like you have explained today, your encounter, I say, with our own hunters and then your encounter in Pakistan, your crossing with your commanding officer and your lead check on the very first day of war.
Yeah, like I said, I could not.
And
I don't think anybody else could have gone and got himself a lead check done on during the war.